This episode of Super Boothers is brought to you by Photo Booth Startup, giving you the ultimate photo booth at an affordable price. Specializing in ring light booths, whether you're just starting out or adding some to your fleet, Photo Booth Startup can help. Visit their website at photoboothstartup.com. Hello and welcome to Super Boothers. My name is Ryan.
I'm Ismail.
So Ismail and I, we use this thing called Trello. So Trello is where we write down all of our ideas for how we want the show to go. We're able to categorize everything. So if you work with a team, Trello is really good to use. And so what Ismail and I do, what our process is we have a huge list of topic ideas. So anything that pops into our head, we go on our phone. If we see an article or something, we type it in and we have it all listed out. So there's literally 30 things on our topic ideas for ideas that we want to do for the show. So we're going through this and we're okay, well, what can we talk about today? And Ismail had this one that kind of intrigued me, and he wrote on the thing, it said purposefully turning away business. And I was like, what is this? What does this mean?
Yeah, this is actually, it's kind of crazy when you say it like that, turning away business. And this is actually something that happened, true story, I think about 10 years ago. And I came across it kind of recently. Basically, Sprint, the big wireless carrier, they had...
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, those guys. They had analyzed their customer base and basically discovered their 1,000 most annoying, most high maintenance clients, and sent them a letter. And I'm going to read one line from the letter. And I quote, "After careful consideration, the decision has been made to terminate your wireless service agreement, effective blah, blah, blah. This will allow you to pursue and engage with another wireless carrier." So they basically sent a letter to a thousand of their clients and told them, "We don't want to work with you anymore. Take your money." And they actually refunded them that month's payment. They made their account zero. So they gave them money and they turned away future revenue because they determined that they were not worth the effort. And I thought this was so amazing. What do you think about that at first glance, Ryan?
That is, first of all, I really wonder what algorithm determined who are their most horrible people. I mean, I wonder what would go into that.
Well, I think the main thing that they looked at in this example was people who called their customer service department the most. There were customers calling them 25 times a month, over 25 times a month. And the company solved the issue, but they kept calling, and that's taking up a lot of their time of their customer service.
Who has the time to do that?
1,000 people.
That is, I cannot deal with insurance companies. I cannot deal with any customer service over the phone. Give me a chat widget, give me an email, or have someone else do it, because I cannot do that.
I guess people have a lot of time on their hands, but to me it was just fascinating because, when you talk to other boothers, everyone's kind of chasing business and how do I get more? How do I get more? How do I get more? And this is an example of a giant corporation talking about how to get less.
Well, I will say this. So I did a wedding in 2006, and I remember exactly who the bride was, who the groom was, where they got married, what colors I remember this wedding so vividly. And I remember, first of all, both of them were attorneys, which whenever you have an attorney client, there's two types of attorneys. There's a type of attorney where you will go through every single line one by one, spend an hour on your contract with them. And then you'll have another one that just will say, oh, it's a conditional contract, la, la, la. It's a regular consumer contract and just sign. So literally there are two ends of the spectrum. She was the former. And I remember it took literally an hour and 45 minutes with her on the phone, going over her contract line by line. And this was just the type of person she was. And I remember whenever I did this, I was like, is this really worth it? Is this really worth it? And there are times where, back then I was only doing wedding planning. So it was just literally me by myself. I had a storefront, which in retrospect was really stupid, and I will never spend that kind of money again. It was more of like I think, an ego thing. Back, oh, look where my office is. Yes, it's down here. Um, However, I will say this: whenever I was going over this contract with her, I was like, I do not need to be doing this. So your gut instinct is something that you really should kind of trust. Like, your gut instinct is human nature. It is your body rejecting what this client is or could potentially become. So I knew deep down that, you know what, maybe I probably shouldn't do it, but I needed the money at the time. I needed the revenue. I just
That's a
needed
good
the
point too.
business.
Is like I don't want people to walk away saying, "I'm going to turn away business." You have to keep in mind this is a giant corporation. They have the luxury of being able to turn away people. If you're in a position where you need the money, you need the money, like you just said, right? But I do think that it's important to know who your customer is, and not only that, what your numbers are. Again, a common theme. Know your numbers. Some customers don't end up being profitable because you bend over backwards for them. You spend so much time with them, and you give them these discounts. And then when you run it, the numbers at the end of the day, you didn't make money. You lost money.
So this is a good time to bring up our costing sheet. So our costing sheet is available to you online as a digital download for free. It is what I use. Well, I don't use it anymore, but I mean, back then I really use it. Now I know my numbers inside and out, so I really don't have to do it on that kind of level. But what you do is you take, how much you charge the client, how much, your labor cost was, how much your ink cost was, how much your, internet service cost. You take all those costs, you throw that in there, and then it pops out, does all the math for you, pops out a little number, and it tells you what your profitability is and your percentage. Knowing your numbers is really the only way that you can ever really make money. There are times where, oh yeah, we have $1 million business. No, you don't. You barely cleared 150 grand because you spent so much. Like, no, don't play that game with me. For that reason, I'm out.
I do want to harp on how, when you're in this business, you come across all kinds of different clients, right? And there's people that you can sense immediately, like you said, Ryan, with the contract, that are just difficult. And this may sound crazy. I don't know, Ryan, you may bite my head off, but I tell my team,
I have never done a thing in my
I
life.
actually tell my team when they're talking to a client, if they seem too difficult or too high maintenance, don't make the sale. Don't push for the sale. Let them go. We don't want them.
So this is the thing. You have people. We are a glamour business. We are an emotionally charged business. There are times where you will have brides come in, tell their story, this, la la la. It is. I always say that people get crazy at weddings and funerals. Like, I just don't know what it was. Oh my God. There was one. So this is like literally the first appointment that I ever did. So I would like do stuff on the phone, like take orders on the phone. And there was one time where literally my first appointment coming into the office, we were, I guess, having the bride select linens. I had just got a deal with, I guess, a venue where we were like providing the linens for all their wedding clients. Like, they built us into their packages. So this guy comes in with his fiance, and then she brings her mother. The mother, I start bringing out linens. We start talking colors. I don't know what was going on. Somehow, I don't know if the mother said something or if the bride said something. It pissed off the groom. He got up, stormed off, and left, and didn't come back for like 45 minutes. And I was like, what just happened here? I was new to the business. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was like, wait a minute, is this natural? Like, should this really be happening? And I mean, no, it doesn't happen like that all the time. However, it was really interesting to me how, you know what, this is beyond. He wasn't pissed off about linens. I mean, he was pissed off about, what's actually happening with, I think, what's going to happen for the rest of his life. They're probably divorced by now, but poor guy. But no, but that's the thing. So going back to like whenever I did this appointment with these two attorneys, a month later, something happens with a cake. Well, then she starts going back and forth with this. And then as a wedding planner, you're copied on it. And then you also have to realize that as the wedding planner, you're working with, these cake people almost every weekend, and this bride isn't going to see this cake person for the rest of her life. So it's always a very difficult balancing act. So anyways, we had problem after problem after problem after problem. Got to the point where she was unhappy, and I have to go and recognize one of these things as, actually, this happened with my first bad review that I ever got. And I was like distraught because I took it so personally. And this was back when like reviews just became a thing. You're like, you got a review? What the hell is a review? You go online and you see like what this person wrote about you, and you're like, whoa, hold on, people. So since then, they've implemented things where now you as the vendor can respond and say like, oh, well, you did this. There was one time where one of my friends, she said that this I almost
Watch
said
yourself.
so anyways, she writes this like horrible review and says that, oh, this person has like such a horrible accounting system, la 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 la. And apparently, like, I asked her, I was like, what happened with this bride? She goes, oh, let me tell you. This bride had 8 bridesmaids. She made each of the bridesmaids pay for their own individual flowers. So she literally had 9 credit cards written on her thing. And I mean, literally had to charge these things one by one by one by one by one. So I mean, there's clearly 2 sides to every story. Now, whenever you have reviews, you as the vendor are able to go in and say, "Hey, listen, here's my side of the story. Like, you need to calm down." There was one bride; it's still up on there somewhere. I did the sister's wedding. Everything went fantastic. Then I guess the other sister got married. The mother filled out our questionnaire. She gave us the wrong address. She like inverted some numbers. We were driving out on a dirt road. The attendant calls me. They're like, I can't find this. This place doesn't exist. I've driven around here for an hour. So the mother calls, and turns out it's on like the other side of the highway. They're already nearby. She went down there. She wrote this horrible review. I'm like, listen, you gave us the wrong address. This isn't my fault. And so we couldn't make up the time because they had a hard end time. So it's things like that you just don't want to deal with. And if they show signs of that at the beginning, okay, you know what? Maybe I don't need it this bad. So I will say this. Going back to the one with the 2 attorneys, no matter what I would have done, she wouldn't have been happy. It doesn't matter. I mean, there could have been, diamonds on every table. Why are they so cloudy? Why are they not from Tiffany? Why? I mean, literally, she would have found something wrong with something. So I will say this. If you feel that someone is really going to be like that, I'm so sorry we're booked.
You don't care about business, or I don't have a problem with clients asking for discounts. They can ask. I can say no. But it is their, I don't blame that. But when you're speaking with someone, especially on the phone, I think oftentimes you can get a vibe. Even I can think of a recent example with one bride that was trying to book us, asked us for our rate. Here's our rate. Oh, well, this company gave me this price. Can you match it? I'm like, you know what? I think it was like a weeknight or whatever it was. Fine, we'll match it. And then what happens? She took our email, went to a different company, got them to beat our price, and then came back to me. And then when I see those signs of people that are just very demanding, I just don't want their business. It's not worth it. The best clients that I love are the ones that I don't even talk to. They just book it. I don't have to do anything with them, and they pay full price. They don't ask anything. They're the least maintenance clients out there, and they're still happy. I think those are the clients that I choose to focus on. Maybe not everyone is in a position to do that. Like you said, you have to look at your own personal circumstances, but oftentimes it's not worth dealing with these people, especially if you run the numbers and realize that you're not making money on them.
Well, so this is the thing is I have been in the industry for a while. I'm very fortunate enough that right now, my current book of business, I very rarely will book. I mean, I'll book new stuff all the time, but it goes to just like regular attendance just to keep everyone busy. But my clients have been my clients for years now. So I'm at the point where I get to choose who I work with. If you're in between, your first 3 years of business, I mean, you just have to put up with it. I mean, you just do. There are times where you do not want to do this bullshit wedding, but you're still just going to end up doing it. And that's fine because it's character building.
Of branding a little bit.
My eyes twitching. I'm having flashbacks. I'm not even kidding.
And I think in a recent episode and in Australia, the topic came up about how if you use the term bride, you alienate same-gender couples. If you don't use the term bride, you alienate brides. And what you put on your site, what you put in your marketing communication affects who comes to you. So I think that there are things that we can do, right? Branding being one of them, where if you have a website that's very well designed, if you have a high-end logo, the words that you use on your website, it can turn away people that are just trying to, get the cheapest deal that they possibly can, right? I don't know if there's anything that you do, Ryan, specifically, because I know you focus on volume, but there's definitely things that you can do when you communicate your brand to the consumer before they talk to you that will turn those people away?
I think that this also goes down to like putting pricing on your website, putting that sort of stuff on there, putting like specific packages on there. Whenever you do that, you're kind of already pre-qualifying your client a little bit. So if you put pricing on your website, you see people that you very well could turn into a profitable piece of business, and they could get scared just from like just looking at like the price that's posted online, even
Right, and it
though
could even be
you
just as
know that
simple
it's
as
a little bit
having a
flexible.
really well-designed site, the photos that you have being of elegant events. And again, this is only if you're going for that type of clientele. You may not be, but it's just an example of how you can target your whole brand, your whole site, all the photos you use, etc., to focus on the client you want, right? And turn away the clients that you don't want. I think people should be mindful of that. And maybe you want, the local birthday parties because there's a lot of kids in your area, and you target your brand around that, and you turn away the high end people. It just depends on what you want.
I love doing the garbage weddings.
Should I ask why? But then that's a key know that it's profitable.
Well, this is the thing
That's
it's
profitable. That's an
profitable.
important note to make.
Absolutely. I love doing the garbage weddings because I know the profit that I'm making.
So
I'm not
if
going to
you're
publish
not
and put on my
putting those images
Instagram
on your
that I'm doing the
Instagram or on
garbage
your website,
weddings.
Why do those people reach out to you so much?
But I
I
still
know
do them.
they love you, but why?
I'm a garbage person, really. I go to Taco Bell after going to the gym.
Okay, I'm not touching that.
Thank you guys so much for listening this week. We'd love to hear from you. We really, really need questions. I'm really sick of asking people. Go to our website, superboothers.com, click on Ask a Question, go on your phone, and you can send us an audio question. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.